I hear you. We also have a democracy where, to be frank, Sarah Potion can ask whatever she wants.
Yeah, she said she's a magistrate. For her to discriminate.
She can ask any question we want. You don't get to tell her what she asks. Nobody gets to tell her what she asks.
She's a free... that she's actually against Muslim...
Martin Durney ended up in a fiery clash with commentator Fahima Mohammed this time over the issue of burqa bans. Yep, that's where we are now. Simply proposing firm steps to deal with extremist networks is enough for people to label you some sort of far-right maniac. Strange, isn't it? The outrage always explodes over symbols and clothing, yet never with the same energy when it comes to protecting real British communities.
Firstly, what's just been said is completely contradiction, because firstly, it was said in Iran that women are terrorized. Okay, and here it's been said that for wearing the burqa, they are the terrorists. So which one is it? And secondly, when it comes to Sarah, talking as a female MP for the first time, where she could have really raised issues with regards to domestic violence that is really on the rise right now, when it comes to, mental health in women's prisons and so many other issues, she picks on the European far-right nationalists and wants to copy them in British, not secular government.
There you have it, mates. After everything this country's put on the line, we're now apparently the European far-right nationalists. Brilliant. But to be fair, Fahima isn't entirely wrong this time. Sarah Pochen, the new Reform MP, had a perfect moment to hammer the real crises: domestic violence climbing, the NHS on life support, government failures piling up everywhere, and the grooming gangs no one has the guts to confront. Yet, what does she do? She swings at a side issue, something buried halfway down the priority list while the whole country's bleeding out. Sure, Reform wants to stay in the spotlight, fair enough. But let's not copy Tory-style distractions. We need real fire right now, not political dress-up and fluff.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Yeah. There it is. This was the moment Reform could have gone in hard for tougher immigration policing, laid out real firepower, and taken control of the narrative. But Sarah Pochen, she dodged it. Missed the whole target completely, choosing to rant about an issue that, shocker, blew up inside her own party. Reform's Zia Yousafzai bailed the moment Pochen's demands hit the airwaves. And now the Thai-Farage partnership is looking shakier and more fragile than ever.
This does highlight, though, and this is quite interesting, is that there's clearly a split in Reform between people who do want some fairly radical measures and people who don't. And I think it's not the first time. I think the Rupert Lowe case indicates there were other examples of people who have maybe fallen out with Zia Yousafzai on this issue. And I think, there's probably a big question to be asked within Reform. What's your position on radical Islam? Where do you really stand on it? I noticed Nigel Farage has gone quiet on this subject of late. Why has he gone quiet? So I know it's not just a question for the government. I think it's a question for all the political parties. And I think it's notable that the Conservatives have been quite open on this subject, and the other parties want to be shying away from it right now. I mean, individuals not, but on a collective level, I'm struggling to see where political parties are looking at this problem. And given we know it's a growing rather than diminishing problem, and one that's likely to be with us for some time, if you have the government and other prominent parties not dealing with it, voters are going to notice. And I think voters are going to start gravitating towards people who do highlight the problems rather than those who seek to repress conversation about them.
What should have been a power move has instead left Reform stumbling, with the public wondering who's even steering the ship anymore. And just when we'd rather unpack all of that, we still have to wade through Fahima's strange takes and watch her get completely dismantled in the process.
Are you saying that the electoral processes of France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, Switzerland, Bulgaria, Germany, Italy, Latvia, Norway, you're all calling them far-right extremist nations?
No, the ones that have gone for the ban, I've got the actual results here. All of them that called for the burqa were non-seculars. I mean, they were they were extremists. They were from the far right, like Geert Wilder, whatever his name is. And they were the ones that actually were calling for this. So it was those parties that Reform tries to say that they're not racist, they're not nationalist, but they're following suit. And that is completely against British law. If the bishops, can sit in the House of Lords, why can't a woman wearing a niqab just go down to Sainsbury's and do her shopping? They're not the threat. They are not the ones that are causing terrorism, as some people like to misrepresent. If it's happening in another country, it is not the British law here. We are not secularism here, a sense that we have certain rules for freedom of expression and freedom of religion.
She really boxed herself in, dragging democracy and British law into the mix, as if freedom of expression somehow applies only on her terms and not equally across the board. Let's be honest. Even if Sarah Pochin missed the bigger national priorities, the debate over face-covering bans didn't appear out of thin air. In a country battling rising crime, how exactly are we meant to uphold public safety when anyone can walk around completely unidentifiable? And that includes burqas, balaclavas, or any full face covering gear. We're trying to run a functioning society here, not host a parade of anonymous, masked figures.
We also have a democracy where, to be frank, Sarah Pochin can ask whatever she wants.
Yeah, she said she's a magistrate for her to discriminate.
She can ask any question we want. You don't get to tell her what she asks. Nobody gets to tell her what she asks.
She's a shame that she's actually against Muslim women.
She did not say she's against Muslim women.
By picking on a particular group. And at the end of the day, she says she's a magistrate who would not in court actually represent or speak to someone who's wearing a burqa. Do you know that she could be actually called in breach of judicial impartiality and equality laws for even saying that? Does she not know the laws?
Fahima, you're big on saying we shouldn't tell women what to wear. You're telling
my
Sarah...
body, my choice. Isn't that what we've been fighting for?
You're telling Sarah Pochin what she's allowed to think,
no,
what she's allowed to ask as a question.
She should be better of empowering women instead of breaking them down for unreasonable security issues. We have no gaps in the law when it comes to removing the hijab, removing the niqab, and having that, whether it's courts, whatever. So what she's talking about is actual racism, discrimination, and against a particular group. And whether she likes it or
and unreasonable security issues come off it. What's unreasonable about wanting to know who's actually moving through public spaces? Then she pivots to the woman card routine, talking about freedom of thought one moment, then attacking Sarah Pochin for proposing a measure she believes could genuinely help British communities. Let's be real. Fahima shouldn't be trying to twist legal principles whenever it fits her argument. If that was the strongest case she could make, then honestly, anyone with a bit of backbone could have dismantled her points with ease.
One of the points raised by all of these nations worldwide is we have a problem with cultural integration. We have silos in British cities where communities never mix.
Well, tell them what to wear. The exact same thing. I must dress like you. I must, have the same accent.
Fahima, this doesn't work it doesn't work if you shout. Listen to the question, please. We have silos in British cities where we have scant and decreasing amounts of cultural integration. Do you not think there is a point to removing those barriers so we can all get to know each other better? And one way of doing that could be to remove the burqa.
No, because that's really just removing religious identity. That's not, that's coercion. That's telling someone what to wear. And I'm not shouting. I'm in anger because there is a focus. And I'm really passionate about this. Don't confuse what I'm saying with anger and aggression when it's passion against women. And at the end of the day, when another woman is bringing down someone for no particular reason, there has been absolutely no terrorism for women that have been in this country that are wearing and dressing. They wear an extra layer of actual material where they can barely run, not wage war. They're just walking down.
You don't win a debate by yelling over people like a toddler mid-tantrum. And this whole erasing identities line, give us a break. Everyone can see who's twisting what the public isn't blind. Cultural integration isn't some petty back and forth playground spat. It's a serious national issue that needs real policy, real balance, and real leadership. And let's be fair, even reform hasn't perfected that model yet. But Martin Daubney, he didn't leave a crumb on the table. He ripped straight through Fahima's contradictions, calling out her attempts to lecture elected MPs on British political matters as if she's the ultimate authority. Honestly, spare us.